What I wanted to talk with you all about today is something I call New Year, New You. And to do that, I wanted to first read a letter to the editor. I'm a member of several different blogs, and this one happens to be part of, some of you may have heard the Conversations with God series.
Oh, yeah.
So this was a letter that was submitted just last week, actually, which would have been the first week into the new year. And this is the letter to the editor. Dear editor, okay, so the new year is here, but who cares? Really? I have no idea why I am here. I have no idea what life is about. It all seems so pointless to me. Can you give me a good reason for any of this? And what can I do to make the new year happy? For my talk today, I wanted to answer these questions. So let's take a look at the first question. The new year is here, 2022. So why does that matter? Let me share with you a few interesting statistics. On December 31st, the well-known actress and beloved comedian, Betty White, made her transition. She was 99 years old. On September 5th of 2021, another up-and-coming comedian and actress named Sarah Harding made her transition after battling breast cancer. She was 39 years old. The drummer of the well-known musical group Rolling Stone, Charlie Watts, made his transition on August 24th. He was 80 years old. One of my closest and dearest friends in the entire world, someone who is very much like a grandmother to me, Dorothy Brown, made her transition on December 8th. She was 88 years old. Upcoming rapper and hip hop artist Matima Miller made his transition on July 6th. He was 19 years old. 19 years old. Another up-and-coming supermodel by the name of Danielle Nicholson made her transition on October 4th. She was 23 years old. And for what it's worth, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, a COVID pandemic. Since the start of the COVID pandemic, 5.47 million people around the world, let me say that number one more time, 5.47 million people around the world have made their transition due to COVID. Just to give you an idea, 5.47 million, that's 1.5 times the population of the state of Oklahoma. Out of those 5.47 million, and this is of January 10th, 832,000 are United States citizens that have all made their transition. So the question I asked is, why does the new year matter? Because you're still here. Because you are still here. You are still here, present in this physicality, in your physical expression. You're still here, you're still breathing, you're still smiling, and most importantly, you're still shining. You're still shining. You're still shining that light that is you, that inner pilot light. And somebody, somewhere in this world, on this planet, needs to experience your light. The warmth of your light, the love of your light, the peace of your light, whatever that light is. Somebody somewhere needs your light. And that's why this year matters. Let's take a look at the next question. Why am I here? And for that matter, why are any of us here? To answer that question, allow me to share a story with you. Just a few short years ago, on April 23rd, 2019, there was a middle-aged man sitting alone in his home, depressed, talking with his dog. about his only friend in the world, or so he thought. But he didn't seem to have much going on for him. At least he didn't feel that way. He wasn't excited about life. And sure, he had dreams like anybody else, but he thought, what's the point? Dreams don't come true anyway, right? Admittedly, he wallowed in self-pity. He was in a new city, a new place. Everything around him was foreign to him. But that would not have mattered. He would have been feeling this exact same way had he been back in his hometown. On that day, he looked his dog square in the eye and he said, "When you go, I go." Thinking at the time that his dog would probably have at least 3 more years, hopefully 5 more years to live. And little did he know at that time that his dog, his very best friend in the whole world, would make his transition only 14 months later. He continued on with his life after that day in April, in which he declared to himself that after his dog went, that he would take his own life. Still depressed and in one of the darkest and deepest bouts of depression that he had ever experienced. Just waiting for his dog to transition so that he could then follow. But then one day, something happened. Something mystical happened. He woke up very early in the morning, about 4 o'clock. He couldn't sleep. And he opened his phone. And he opened something called Facebook. And on this Facebook app, he opened it up. Unbeknownst to him, there was a Facebook meme. And that Facebook meme was for something called Science of Mind, Centers for Spiritual Living. He felt a shift inside. And so he went. And he began to learn. And he began to study. And suddenly, things started happening. He had always dreamed of being a speaker. And one day he found that his opportunity to speak had come true. And not only his opportunity to speak, but his opportunity to speak about things that he was truly passionate about health, about wellness, and about spirituality. He thought to himself, maybe, just maybe, dreams do come true. So he continued on with his journey, slowly making his way out of his depression. Then he discovered something else, something called letting go and letting God. And in that moment, this middle-aged man realized something very important, that he had it all wrong. That everything he thought he understood about life, everything he thought he knew about life, he had it all wrong. He realized in that moment that life wasn't about him. It wasn't about his car. It wasn't about his credentials. And it wasn't about his fancy college degrees or any of that. But rather, life was about something else we call God. Spirit, universe, mind, infinite intelligence, whatever you want. And that the key, the secret, was to let go and let God. And to allow God to work through you and to use you as a beacon of light for others, for the world. And so that is the answer to the question, why am I here? Why is anyone here? Why are any of us here? Is so that God can use you and your life as a beacon of light for others and everyone else. So why does the new year matter? Because you're still here. Because you're breathing, you're smiling, and you're still shining. Because your light needs to shine so that someone else somewhere can feel its warmth, can feel its presence. Someone somewhere needs the experience of your light. The question is not, do they need the experience of your light and who you are? The question is, will you share it with them? will you share your light? And will you share your light in a true, authentic place of who you are? So this middle-aged man continued his journey. He began to further realize that when he let go and let God guide him and his life, that God would start to take him to places that he never even dreamed of. That God would guide him higher than he ever thought possible. And that God would slowly, one resource, one step at a time, bring him exactly everything he needed, when he needed, where he needed it, and how he needed it. And God will do exactly the same for you. And so that is why you are also here. You're here to experience your dreams, your wishes, your biggest hopes, your deepest desires, to have all of your dreams come true. When you let go and let God guide you every step of the way, you're going to go places that you never thought possible, higher than you ever imagined, to new cities that never even occurred to you, new destinations, new people that you never thought of. When you let go and let God and stop resisting, the power of the entire universe, the power that is within you, that opens up for you in full force, in full power. Remember, God is there for you, with you, in you, always expressing through you, in you, as you, every single step of the way. And so now, back to that letter to the editor, I've answered our third question. What is life really about? What is life really about? To be honest, it's actually quite simple. Life is about two things. One, being a beacon of light for everyone and everywhere to experience. And secondly, life is about fulfilling your dreams, your highest wishes, your highest goals, your highest desires. So what are your dreams? What do you want for yourself in 2022? What is your highest desire? What is your highest hope? So now let me answer the final two questions from our letter to the editor. Can you give me a good reason for any of this thing called life? And what can I do to make the new year happy? First, can I give you a good reason for any of this? And I'm sorry to disappoint you, but no, I cannot. I cannot give you a good reason for this thing called life, and specifically your life. However, I do know someone that can. I know someone that can not only give you a good reason for your life, but a very, very good reason. And that person is you. You, yourself, and I, or me. That person is you. So still the quiet voice inside, quiet the noisy chatter in your mind, and go inside, hear that inner voice deep within, and ask. Ask that question, what is my life about? Ask, and when you ask that question, what happens? You will receive an answer. Ask and you shall receive. And now to the question, what can you do to make the new year happy? What can you do to be happy? What can you do to make New Year 2022 the best it's ever been? Well, please don't throw any tomatoes at me, but I'm sorry to disappoint you again. There is nothing that you can do to make the new year happy. And further, there is nothing that you need to do to make the new year happy. But you can choose to be happy. See, happiness is a choice. As you move forward into 2022, who and what are you choosing to be? Who and what are you choosing to be? Happiness is a choice. So as you go forward in 2022, make this year a new year and a new you. Ask yourself again, what are my dreams? What are your dreams? What do I want my life to be about moving forward in 2022? And how can I be happy? And so what are your New Year's resolutions for 2022? And I'm not talking about the phony baloney kind, where it's something you say, oh, I want to lose 5 pounds, and then a week later it's gone. It's gone in 1 year and out the other, or 1 year and out the other. But I'm talking about the kind of resolution that you're really serious about. Something that comes from within, something that is guided by spirit. What is that resolution for you? Ask and you shall receive that answer. Where is God guiding you? What is your light? How can you shine your light brighter and further for the next person to see, hear, feel, and experience? Who are you choosing to be right here, right now, in this moment? Who are you choosing to be? Ask the question. You shall receive an answer. And when you do, that is how you become a new you in the new year. So that middle-aged man that I spoke of earlier sought answers on all of this. And when he did, a funny thing started to happen. His life started to shift. It started to work. Things became easy. Depression was replaced with joy. Fear was replaced with love. Anxiety was replaced with peace. New opportunities began to open up for speaking, for teaching. New people began to appear in his life. Now, how do I know all of this? Because that middle-aged man that I was telling you about, that was me. And so it is.
And so it is. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you.